Hey all, this is Mad Nomad here, putting this video together because I want to show you some tips and tricks on how to really get the most out of the Xanathar's encounter generator module that I put out a while back. So I've heard and seen people using it, and I've seen that they've run into a few issues potentially with this module. They might be getting creatures or too many creatures in their encounters, or too many different types of creatures, or wanting to generate sort of a more specific kind of random encounter and not knowing how to do it. So I'll show you how to address those things here in this video. The first tip I'm going to give you, and the most important, is that you shouldn't feel like you just need to use whatever you roll as your encounter. But like I just rolled this encounter and I'm thinking, there's just too many creatures here, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll again. There's nothing that says you have to use the first thing, and it only takes a couple seconds to roll a new encounter. Right, so this is more manageable, better number of creatures. I might just use that one. So that addresses if you're getting too many encounters that have too many creatures, just roll a few times. The other thing you can do is, let's say I like the number of creatures here. Maybe this is fine because I have a big group and they're quick at combat. But I feel like there's too many kinds of creatures here, or they don't fit well together. Well, I can look at the CR of these creatures. This is a CR1. Copper Dragon Worm's a CR1. So right here, what I can do to simplify this is, let's just replace all the copper dragons with brass. So 2, 2. There you go. Now that's the same difficulty encounter, and now there's only two different kinds of creatures, and the counter might make more sense. Now that wasn't necessarily the greatest example, because copper and brass dragons, sure, maybe you might find them together or something, but you could have, you can imagine a scenario where you maybe had 6 different types of creatures here, or ones that didn't really make sense at all together. All you have to do is just look at the CRs of the creatures and find matching CRs, and eliminate one type of creature and replace it with the other. And you have the same balanced encounter, but less stuff going on. So those are two very simple things that you can do to get your encounters feeling better and more organic. But I'm going to show you now some really powerful things you can do with this. So let's say you're looking for a fight, with something like, you want like a leader and henchman or something. You want like a small group, and you want one of the creatures to be a little tougher than some more like underling type creatures. Well, you can guarantee an encounter exactly like that if you just know how to work the codes a little bit, and if you understand Xanathar's reference chart. So this reference chart is what the whole system is based on, and WotC put out a while back. And basically what this is saying is that for a character of this certain level on the left, let's say third level, a third level character can take on 8 level 1/8 creatures, or sorry, 5 level 1/8 creatures, or 2 1/4 CR creatures, or 1 for 1 on 1/2, or you need 2 level 3 characters to fight a level 1 CR, and have it being a normal balanced encounter. So by using this chart and understanding what you're trying to produce, the scenario you're trying to produce, you can handcraft a super specific coded encounter. So let's say I've got 5 level 5 PCs. I'm just going to write it here for reference. This isn't the right code, right? Well, I might think, well, I want maybe 3 to 4 creatures. I want one of them to be tougher. So if we look at the chart for level 5, it takes 3 level 5s to equal a CR4 creature. So I'm going to go in here and say XCR4. And maybe we could even get more fancy. Let's say we know we're in the swamp, right? So we want it to be a swamp type creature. And so now we've got 2 level 5 CRs to play with. Level 5 levels. 2 level 5 PCs worth of creatures to play with, which means a level 5 can take on 2 level 1s. So that means we can have up to 4 level 1s. Let's get 4 level 1s, and let's guarantee they're all exactly the same creature, so it feels more tight-knit, not a bunch of random stuff. So we say XCR1, X4, swamp. Now by doing that, I have to give this new one a number, because we just added something to the tracker here. Go up here to 10. Let's roll that custom encounter. There we go. Okay, so let's hit that roll and see what we get. All right, so here we go. Here's our big creature, the Imperial Ghoul, and the 4 little underling creatures. And we can do it again. Doric and 4. So you see, we can really control the kind of encounter that we're going to get using this codes. Let's take another example. So maybe now we want to swarm the group with one type of creature, like maybe there's a gang of some lower creatures that are harassing them. So we got, what is it, level 5 I said? Okay, let's go up here. 5 level 5 characters. Now I don't want it to be too crazy, the number of creatures they're going to get. So maybe I'll do a level 2. So we want to fight 5 level 2 CR2 creatures. So I'm going to go in here and say CR2 times 4 XCR. Now you can only do up to 4 of the same creature where you guarantee you're going to get the same one. But we can do 4 CR2s and 1 other straggler CR2, which may or may not be the same creature. Let's just run and see what this gives us. All right, so we get, in this case, see we did. We got all 5 of the same creature for CR2. If I do it again, I probably won't. Let's see. Yeah, so here we get 4 Weredactyls and some straggler. But again, based on the trick I showed you earlier, you can just delete this and make this a 2 and make this a 0. Or you could just, say, it's usually pretty easy to figure in like a story why they have this one thing with them. Sometimes you just like a pet or something. Yeah, so those are just a couple examples. Let's see if I can think of another one off the top of my head here. Maybe we want just 2 creatures, right? You want 2 sort of big creatures for them to fight. Let's look at that same group again. 5 level 5, so we know we don't have quite the math to do exactly 2 of the same, but we could do like a CR4 to CR3 because that would be appropriate. Again, you could go a little higher because there's a wiggle room. If you want to make it a little more difficult encounter, you just go a little above what the math says you could do. So let's have one, actually, yeah, that's a great example. I'll make this one a slightly more difficult encounter than a regular. So instead of going with a CR4 and a CR3, I'll do 2 CR4s. And in this case, let's say I don't want them to be exactly the same creature. So I won't do the times 2. I'll do XCR4 and another XCR4. And maybe I want this to have a feeling of 2 different types of terrain. Like maybe we're on the edge of a swamp and the Arctic. So maybe I'll do Arctic and swamp. Oh, I always spell Arctic wrong. There's that silent C in there. All right, so now we got 1 swamp type creature and 1 Arctic type creature. We guaranteed going into it that we were only going to get 2, and we controlled like the difficulty of them. So once you get an understanding of how to do this, it actually can be really quick, especially because your characters are going to be the same level usually for quite a while. So it's not like you have to reference this chart all the time. What you could do up here really quick is maybe just copy the appropriate line. So if I know my party is level 5, I could say, where is the one line? So 1 to 12. I'm not going to worry about the 12 one, right? Maybe I do 1/2 is 4. And I'll do 1 is 2. Or sorry, it's the other way around. Actually, I'm typing this wrong. So a level 5 character, you take 4 1/2s. 2 1s. 1 2. Half of a 3. Okay, so maybe I've typed in something like this up here for quick reference because I know my party's level 5, and I just jot down for my own reference, what that math works out to be. So now if I'm on the fly and I determined they're getting a random encounter, I know I want it to be, one big guy and some little guys, I can just go up here really easily and say, okay, I know I need a CR4 in there, and then I got 2 spares, so I'll do some CR1s or whatever. So you don't have to memorize this chart all the time. And then it's pretty simple to just go down here and put in the XCR whatever encounter code and just roll your encounter, and there you go. So I hope these tips help you, and I am working on an extension that should make this a lot more simple and add some new powerful features in, but it's quite a bit of effort there, so I don't know how soon that will be out. But anyways, once you've learned how to use these codes, you could do a lot with this. You won't even really need it, I don't think. But anyways, hope you enjoy. Take care.